Hey everyone, Richard Morris with Cruise Planners, Arizona Cruise and Travel. I have our good friend here, Brandon Oscarson.
Hello. With
AmaWaterways. He's the business development manager for Arizona. And we love Brandon and his enthusiasm for AmaWaterways. He's fantastic. So we're going to kick this off with just kind of an easy question.
Sure.
Introduce yourself. A little bit of background and how you got to AmaWaterways.
So, my name is Brandon Oscarson. I have been with AmaWaterways at least 7 years next month. So, I've been with the company for a long time now. I actually started off answering the phones and reservations, and it was random. I had just moved to California. I had a headhunter look at my resume, and while her colleague was interviewing me, she told him, "Be quiet." And he looked at her and he said, "What?" And she's like, "Be quiet, I have a job for him." She sent me in for an interview, and as I walked out, I knew they're going to call me within the next couple of hours to offer me a job, and they did.
Wow!
Like within an hour, they called, and I started off on the phones, and I got the biggest promotion in the history of the company, going from answering the phones to outside sales, and I'm one of our top producers in the country.
Nice.
So I'm very passionate about river cruising, and I love AmaWaterways.
Awesome. And you've dealt with customers, being that frontline person answering the phones and inside sales. That's an awesome job. So, what makes AmaWaterways stand out from other river cruise companies?
So river cruising is interesting because when we talk about river cruising, everybody thinks of one company. It's because they do amazing marketing. Nobody markets like they do. But they really bring business to all of us, and we have to thank them for that.
Right.
But at the same note, we are all different. We all have different pieces of hardware on our ships. We have a different way that we work on board, and a lot of people don't know that we are actually the highest rated river cruise line in all of Europe.
Okay.
And I based it off of Berlitz. You're familiar with the Berlitz guides?
Yes. Of course, you've told us about Berlitz
right?
as well, but
yes.
Touch on that.
So Berlitz has now released 3 river cruise editions.
Okay.
Each time, 10 of our ships are the highest rated in the books based on our food, service, and amenities. So it really shows consistency in how we operate, and we just do so many different things to set ourselves apart on a very high level.
Right.
And I really think that comes from the culture of the company itself, because we are family owned and operated.
Great. I had a question for new people who haven't river cruised before. Why should they consider a river cruise over an ocean cruise?
You know, it's much calmer than an ocean cruise.
Right.
It's a more intimate experience. You have 150 people on board the ship rather than up to 6,000 people. But it's really nice because you can see multiple countries in Europe over a 7-night trip with us. You unpack when you get on board, you pack up when your trip is over, and we even have land packages on each end. So you're not just taking a river cruise, but you're tying it in with maybe a few nights in Prague or somewhere where the rivers don't extend to.
Right. That's a great key. A lot fewer people on board a river cruise, and the experience is totally different. For a first-time cruiser, what river in Europe would you recommend? What's most popular? I know we did the Danube a couple of years back. I'm sure that's probably one of the most popular rivers, but give us your experience with Ama.
So the Danube is by far the most popular. And if you look at any of the companies out there, we all have more itineraries on the Danube than anywhere else. So the Danube is a perfect start. You get some of the most beautiful places in all of Europe there. You get to see Prague, you get to see Budapest, Vienna, and a lot of hidden gems along the way as well.
It's a beautiful river. What's a second river that, if you've river cruised before, where would you go to next?
The Rhine River.
The Rhine.
Absolutely. And the Rhine has a lot of charming small towns that you visit. There are some very big and beautiful places as well, but a lot of small, charming, intimate places.
Okay.
And I'll give you one example. So one of the first stops, if you're coming from Basel moving up north to Amsterdam, we stop in a little city called Reykjavik. And I probably butchered the name.
That's all right.
But
we butcher everything.
Reykjavik is the city that Disney modeled Belle's hometown after. It's this tiny, beautiful, charming little town, and we take our guests on a tour of Reykjavik.
Okay, fantastic. Now, tell us about the newest ship that AmaWaterways has. It's called the AmaMagna. Have you been on it yet? Have you sailed on it yet? Or what are you hearing about the ship?
So the AmaMagna, I was able to do a tour of the AmaMagna before it was completed. So a lot of the decorations were not in, but it was almost there. And I have been on 9 river cruises, 7 in Europe, 2 in Southeast Asia. So I have a lot of experience with the vessels. There is nothing like it. I'm actually sailing on it in 2 months. So
nice.
I will have a first-hand experience, but it is completely different. And we don't want to call it a change to the game. It's just an addition.
Right.
It's something new, something unique.
What makes it unique? Tell us about the ship in general.
It's twice the width of your standard river cruise vessel. It will only fit on the Danube. So for the first season this year, we have it running from Germany down into Hungary. So they'll soften to Budapest. Next year, we're also going to go Budapest to Bucharest because it still fits on the lower Danube.
Okay.
And what makes this ship unique beyond being twice the size? 4 restaurants.
More restaurants, and you're not going to double the size of the guests, right?
No.
The number of people isn't going to double.
No.
On the ship.
So river cruising is intimate, and we want to keep it intimate.
Right.
So we've only added 40 additional guests. So this ship that is double the size only holds 196 people.
Wow.
And the feedback is you feel like you have a lot of space.
That's fantastic. Now, you mentioned a few minutes ago Asia.
Yes.
So a lot of times people think of river cruises as Europe, but you guys are in other parts of the world,
Yes, we
right?
are.
So
Absolutely.
Asia and Africa, give us a little rundown on those cruises.
Absolutely. You know, Southeast Asia, we do Vietnam and Cambodia. And I have to say it's one of the most amazing and unique ways to see this part of the world. There's no way you can really do a land tour and touch on some of the villages that we see. Yes, some of the larger cities, you can go over there and you can visit, but there are places along the way that you would never think to visit. And I'll tell you that it is a beautiful part of the world, and it's a place that everybody should see at least once in their life. And funny story, first time I went, my wife did not want to go. She's like, I'm not interested in Southeast Asia. I called her bluff. I booked the cruise. She ended up coming with me because I called her bluff. So she came with me, and it was one of her favorite trips that she has ever been on, both of us.
What made it special for you? Was there a particular place there along the river that was meaningful?
There were a couple of elements. The culture of the people would have to be the first thing. Wonderful, warm, welcoming people. We are foodies, so the food is absolutely spectacular in that part of the world. Amazing. The other is the destinations are incredible. Cambodia has some of the most extraordinary temples. Angkor Wat, it's the largest religious monument in the world, and that's part of the excursions we take while we're in Siem Reap.
So let's talk about excursions and so forth, because that's a big part of river cruising. What does AmaWaterways include? Are there extras that people can buy into and do in addition to what AmaWaterways is offering? Talk about that.
So there really aren't a lot of extras that you can pay for.
Okay.
There's only 2 on the Danube, but we include more than 20 excursions per 7-night sailing.
Okay.
So we have a lot of included excursions. So every single port you stop at, you're going to have an included city tour. This city tour is going to give you 3 levels of activity. So you have gentle walkers, regular pace walkers, active walkers. On top of this, you have optional choices that are included. Cooking demonstrations, wine tastings, art tours. So our guests really get to choose what they want to do every single place we stop. And again, these are all included.
All included. So when it comes to like an all-inclusive type of trip, the passenger, the guest, doesn't have to feel like they're getting nickel and dimed for every little thing, because you're including wine and beer at lunch and dinner. Correct. And excursions. You guys even have bikes, right? You have bikes on board that
we do.
When you get to a city, you can take out one of these bikes and ride around the city. I know we've done that in the past as well.
And that's included. You can take a bike tour.
Okay.
So that's included. And the wines that we serve with lunch and dinner from the regions we're cruising through. So you can be drinking different wines from lunch to dinner, but each day they're constantly changing.
Wow.
Because we want our guests to have those cultural experiences.
Right. So I know you also have some, you mentioned wine, so you have some wine cruises in particular that are geared towards wine, but you also have some golf
Yes, we do.
trips as well. Talk about the golf trips.
So the golf program we put together is on the AmaMagna only.
Okay.
So our guests can play up to 5 courses if they do Prague with us, but on the 7-night cruise, it's 4 courses over the 7-night cruise, and it's an add-on.
Right.
And if they don't want to do 4 courses, they can break it up and do 1, 2, 3, whatever they feel like doing. But it's for avid golfers, and these
Avid golfers that want to golf in Europe, somewhere
Yes.
some great courses. And-
European Open.
Okay.
Yeah, the best courses in the world.
Wow, that's fantastic. Kristen's behind the camera here. Holding
Hey
that up.
everyone.
Do you have any questions?
Brandon, what is your favorite cruise so far with AmaWaterways?
Oh my goodness.
You've been on 7.
I've been on
Yeah.
7, you know. So my very favorite was Vietnam, Cambodia, and the riches of the Mekong. I've done that twice. That part of the world just really kind of calls to me. The culture, the people, the food. I love it over there. In Europe, again, they're all amazing, and they all bring something really special to the table. But for me, I would say the Rhone River really was absolutely incredible. I loved the excursions. Southern France is very charming.
Right.
The people are wonderful, and some of the things we did on the Rhone are magical. We go to an old limestone quarry that they've capped off.
Okay.
And I can't say this right. I know I can't because it's French.
Right.
But they do it. It's called Carrier de Luminaire,
Okay.
and it's an illumination tour. Once you get inside this quarry, all the lights go off and it turns pitch black.
Wow.
Classical music comes on, and then art starts rolling across all of the walls and the floor as far as you can see, around corners. And when I was there, it was Gustav Klimt. And so it
Okay.
changes every year. I have sent so many people there, and they come back and tell me the same thing that I feel. It's the most amazing excursion they've
Wow.
ever seen.
Wow, that's fantastic. We're going to have to go on the road.
Yes, we are.
We're going to have to get there.
I know where you can get a cruise.
Exactly. Africa. We haven't touched on Africa,
Sure.
and I don't know if you've been on any of the African cruises, but describe that package, I guess,
Sure.
into general.
I wish I could go to Africa, but it is so popular. We sell out like that.
Right.
We're full for this year. We have a little bit of space for next year, and we're even booking into 2021
Wow.
for Africa right now. So Africa, we cruise on the Chobe River in
Okay.
Zambia, and we only cover about a 22-mile radius because we're really trying to get our guests close to the animals. But it's tied in with safaris, land package. South Africa is where most people want to go, and Kruger National Park is
Right.
also part of it with us.
So it's really a combination land and river. You're not going to do the river only typically.
You can't.
You can't.
You
Okay.
can't. Correct. And we just added on a post extension to Rwanda this year because we realize a lot of people going to Africa, that's a big bucket list to go up into the mountains and see the gorillas, and now
Right.
they can do that with us.
Wow. Wow. Any with AmaWaterways, I know you've got the AmaMagna that had come out. What is there anything new, innovative type of, maybe it's a new itinerary coming out, anything?
You know, we always kick a few things around, and we did come up with some new itineraries last year, and people always want something new, but when it comes to booking, they want the basics. So we really kind of stick to the rivers that everybody wants to cruise
Right.
on. We did launch 3 ships this year. We have the AmaMagna on the Danube, the AmaMora on the Rhine River, and the Douro is probably, again, one of those really hot items in Europe. If people want to go and see Portugal,
Right.
we just launched a 2nd vessel on the Douro because we're always sold out on the Douro.
Right.
So we're welcoming more people on board with us, cruising one of the most scenic and beautiful rivers in all of Europe.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you sitting down with us, talking about AmaWaterways and yourself and your experiences with AmaWaterways. If you, and you're watching this, if you want to get on a river cruise, we highly, highly, highly recommend AmaWaterways as being that choice for your next river cruise adventure. And if you're a first-time river cruise cruiser and you want to try it out. It'll make the best experience possible going with AmaWaterways. And we're here to help you. My name is Richard Morris. My wife Kristen Morris. We run Cruise Planners, Arizona Cruise and Travel, and we want to help you get to a better place. Thanks.
Thank you.
Brandon, what kind of promotions does AmaWaterways have currently going on?
We have some really amazing promotions right now. Up until September 30th, we have free air on multiple dates this year and next year. If they don't want free air, they can take 2-for-1 business class on those same dates. So that's an incredible promotion. And we have triple savings for Mekong cruises this year and our Christmas market cruises. And I'll tell you, Christmas markets are the most popular thing in Europe. It is my favorite European experience that I've ever had.
What makes a Christmas market kind of that unique thing? I mean, describe it, I guess, to us.
Europe turns into a fairy tale land during the Christmas markets. The beautiful lights everywhere, the booths with all the amazing food and Glühwein. Glühwein is absolutely amazing. Hot, mulled, spiced wine.
Wow.
And every family has its own recipe. And each Christmas market has these little collectible mugs that they put the Glühwein in. So you'll see everybody on board bringing their mugs back because they want to collect different mugs from each market.
Awesome.
And a lot of the stuff is unique. You can buy unique Christmas ornaments and handmade gifts to bring back for your friends and family.
Right. What's the time period for the Christmas markets? When they start and
Christmas markets start around Thanksgiving. So November 22nd, 23rd, and they run until most of them end on December 23rd.
Okay, so right before Christmas. So you got a month to get on these Christmas market cruises. I would encourage you, if you're thinking about going on a river cruise this fall, this winter, great time to do it with all these promotions that AmaWaterways is offering. Free air, 2-for-1 business class. You can't go wrong. Give us a call to get on your next river cruise. Thanks.